What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, we are diving back into the single type cup Great League edition with Umbreon, Clefable, and Muk. Now, I love this team because of the synergies and coverages that they have with each other. So the Umbreon and Muk are a really great core here because of those typings and the move coverage. So you got the poison typing to resist the counters, you have the poison jab to coverage the fairies, and you also have the dark pulse when Cofagrigus swap into it because you have an Umbreon lead, and then the Clefable as the anchor is a Pokemon that I would highly suggest, if you guys have not invested already, to invest in it for both Great League and the Ultra League. Costs 10,000 Stardust to unlock a second charge move, and there are no legacy moves. Alright, getting into the first battle here, we have Umbreon on the lead versus Machamp. So this is a bad lead matchup. We're going to go ahead and swap out into the Muk to get ahead on energy, and they decide to swap out into Cofagrigus. This happens so often because you got to think about the lead, right? We got an Umbreon, so they want to keep Cofagrigus away, but now we can put super effective damage pressure on Cofagrigus to get ourselves shield advantage, which is why Muk is such a beautiful safe swap in this meta when you pair it with an Umbreon lead. Now I'm going to go ahead and shield that Shadow Ball because I want to force or try to force another shield right here with Dark Pulse. That way the Clefable has a lot better time later on sweeping this game. And so we do get shield number 2, and they also are forced to throw energy here in order to take us out because they cannot farm us down. Now this is a really good situation as Umbreon can come in and just overload on energy, and this is why Cofagrigus, I used it in yesterday's video. It's a fantastic Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but you need to get rid of the Umbreons first for it to really start to shine. Now they decided to swap in a fairy Pokemon. I didn't see what it was there. There's a lot of battles of Granbull. So we swap in the Clefable. We went for the last resort, swap in the Clefable, and this is going to be a good game because we have Meteor Mash. This does super effective damage to fairy type Pokemon, which is why Clefable is the top dog when it comes to taking down the Granbull dog right there. Cofagrigus comes back in. This is totally fine, and this is why I'm saying to everyone, if you have not invested in Clefable, not only for like this cup, but I'm talking in general, Great League and Ultra League, it is a beautiful Pokemon to have and can do incredibly well with the right teams and in the right specialty cups. And Open Ultra League as well, it's a monster. And as you guys can see, we can now take out the Machamp. So a full sweep right here from the Clefable because of the Dance of Energy and the charge moves that we have access to, along with the shield advantage that we got ourselves with our safe swap Muk. That's going to be a good game. And for those of you maybe wondering, I know a lot of you guys care about seeing my IVs. This Clefable is a new Clefable. The old one that I had in previous videos, I powered up to the Ultra League and then replaced it, my Great League one, with this one. And again, 10,000 Stardust to unlock. It's really not a huge dust investment. I think to power this to power it up and unlock, I think it was about 40,000 Stardust in total, which was nothing. Now we have a Mew here on the lead, and this is something I want you guys to take note whenever you're playing against your opponents, is if you're in a very positive lead matchup, like an Umbreon versus a Mew, and they're not swapping out, it is a tell that they have something else in the back that is extremely weak to Umbreon. So what you want to do is, we're going to see a Vigoroth come in. You want to swap out right away into Muk, because look at that. There was a Cofagrigus in the back, which is, again, why the Muk pairs so well with Umbreon. I'm going to be hammering this in throughout the whole video, because you bait out the Cofagrigus. You save the Umbreon in order to farm down the Cofagrigus, do a lot of neutral damage against a Machamp or a Vigoroth or a Sirfetch'd, whatever fighter that you guys see. And thankfully we are able to hang on and get to a Thunder Punch in time. So this is going to be enough to KO. They come back in with Vigoroth, which is fine. They do have 2 shield advantage to us, but we have a lot of energy on Umbreon right here, and we still have our Clefable as well, so I am not too worried. We're just going to go ahead and go straight foul plays, as it does neutral damage. No need to go for last resort right there, especially when they have 2 shields. You want to throw the lower energy move, that is Stab, which is same type attack bonus, as it does a bit more damage. What I mean by that is, if you're a dark Pokemon throwing a dark type move, you do more damage with that dark type move instead of a fairy Pokemon throwing a dark type move, the same move, right? So now we're going to go ahead and swap into Clefable as we soak the Body Slam right here. Clefable, pretty bulky. Clefable's honestly, like, stat-wise, a beautiful balance. It's got good attack. It's just pretty well-rounded. So it's bulky enough to be able to survive a lot of hits, but also has the attack stats and the move coverage and the damage in order to take out a lot of meta Pokemon. So that is going to be a good game. Moving to the next one. We have Umbreon on the lead versus Umbreon. So mirror fight right here. Let's see how we decide to play this out. I'm personally going to stay in with Last Resort here. And as my playstyle for this is, if they don't swap out and we stay in, I'm going to look to soft lose and come in and load up on energy with Clefable, because I really want energy with that. So we're just going to go ahead and just go for Last Resorts. I have seen Umbreons with Psychic in this meta, and the Psychic will surprise a lot of fighters. It surprised me yesterday. I got nearly one shot. But I still think if you only have one Umbreon, keeping it Last Resort is perfectly fine. Do not TM away your Last Resort if you have it. If you guys have two Umbreons, have one Psychic and one Last Resort, they decide to swap into Clefable, and this is something else that is beautiful about the Muck in this meta, is Fairy-type Pokemon, especially if they're running double Fairy. The Muck locks down that safe swap, and you don't even need to shield. You can just straight up farm down safely, no shield. We have shields on the back end for our own Clefable against what is likely going to be another Fairy, so my guess is going to be a Granbull, a Shadow Granbull, most likely. And we also have Thunder Punch here for neutral damage. It's just a beautiful moveset. Like, Muck is just the perfect Pokemon to synergize with a lot of teams. You cover those safe swaps. As a safe swap yourself, you get shield advantage in a lot of situations. And you have just a solid moveset for neutral damage to do chip. So we're going to go ahead and come in with Clefable now against the Umbreon. And then I'm going to swap out into Umbreon to try to catch the charge move and draw out the Shadow Granbull. So I was hoping to catch the Last Resort right there, because I knew that I would need the energy to be drained. But ultimately we get a shield right there from the Granbull, which I think, now looking back at this, I think that was a mistake. I made a mistake swapping out. I should have just kind of gone for the Meteor Mash, but my opponent made a mistake shielding the Last Resort, because they could have just double charmed me down. Maybe not. I don't know. It would have been close, but Meteor Mash is going to be able to take it. We still have two shields for the Umbreon right here. Yeah, maybe I should have committed. I mean, there was mistakes made on both ends in this game now, looking back at it, but that's okay. Sometimes that's going to happen in Go Battle League, right? It doesn't matter if you're at 3,500 ELO, rank 1 leaderboards, or you're, in the ace rank. Players are going to make mistakes, and you just want to capitalize on it. All right, we got Cofagrigus now in the lead. This was a very common lead that I saw, and they usually pair it with something to counter an Umbreon, so there's likely going to be a fighter in the back. So we already have a very good core, and there's the fighter. We draw out a Shadow Machamp, so we're going to go ahead and go for the Last Resort right away, and then we're going to go into the Muck here. And the reason why we go into the Muck is not only do we resist counter because of our poison typing, but we have the Dark Pulse on the back end. Like I was saying earlier with Cofagrigus, this synergy that we have right here with Muck is so good, because now the Cofagrigus has to come back in, and they have to throw energy in order to take us out, because otherwise I get to the Dark Pulse in time. But thankfully their Dark Pulse is not enough to KO us, so we can now go for our own here, looking to force the first shield of this game. So we're in a very good situation. Umbreon resists all the moves from Cofagrigus, so we just want to come in and just load up on energy. So we're going to go ahead and let this go. There's no reason to shield, especially on an Umbreon that's this tanky against Cofagrigus. As you guys can see, it just does nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Foul Play right away. I want to try to get some damage out before they swap out. I don't want to overload too much with Umbreon in case they're weak in the back, but I guess there's a Hypno in the back. So we're core breaking right here, which is another great thing. And sometimes I've seen this a lot, is players will run ABA lines. And what I mean by that is you have a Pokemon, so like an anti-fighter on the lead, and then an anti-dark, and then an anti-fighter, right? So in this case, we saw Cofagrigus, Machamp, and now Hypno. But because we were able to maintain switch advantage, Umbreon was able to handle it right there. That'll happen. It's happened multiple times for me. All right, we got Meganium here on the lead. So this is interesting. I love Meganium as a Pokemon. Honestly, it's been meta for a long time, but it got outshined by Trevenant when Trevenant came into the play. But Meganium, for anyone that's newer, used to be the meta. Like, the meta Grass-type Pokemon were Venusaur and Meganium. And the reason why is Venusaur did amazing against a lot of the Fairy and can do neutral against Altaria with the Sludge Bomb, but Meganium has Earthquake for the steals, for Registeel, Galarian, Stunfisk. Now, once again, we swap into Muck, and what did we draw out? We drew out a Cofagrigus. It's literally gonna happen to you too. If you win lead or have somewhat of a neutral lead with an Umbreon and you swap into Muck, out comes the Cofagrigus. They are lurking in the back every single time, or you're gonna draw out a Hypno as well because of the confusion damage against poison, right? So we get the Thunder Punch, we land the Dark Pulse, get the Thunder Punch shield, so now we can come in with Umbreon and load up on energy. No need to shield, no need to throw. We want to have energy on the back end. So we'll have to see what they decide to come in with because it possibly could not be the Meganium. So we got to watch the top right, and it is a Machamp. So I'm going to go ahead and go for last resort here. Against Meganium, I would go Foul Play because of neutral damage, but fighting type Pokemon resist dark type moves. And now Clefable, 2-0 shields. Like, this Pokemon, I'm telling you guys, when you get the Pokemon out of the way that beat Clefable, so a Muck or Steel type Pokemon, you're gonna be sweeping teams when you have shield advantage like this. So we can just safely go for basically double Meteor Mash. I decided not to throw the Meteor Mash there against Meganium because I knew that it was gonna get to 2 Frenzy Plants relatively quickly, and I'd rather have overloaded energy on Clefable to Meteor Mash the Meganium, and then Moonblast the Machamp. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. Clefable, just a nice sweeper here in this meta. So that's going to be a good battle. Boom! Delayed boom right there. All right, Umbreon versus Cofagrigus again. Literally 50% of my battles today where Cofagrigus leads, and now we have a Vigoroth safe swaps. We got to bring in the Muck, and this is a tough one. So Vigoroth is one of those safe swap Pokemon in this meta where you need to fear the Bulldoze. So we're going to go ahead and shield. It was just a Body Slam, and this is one of those situations where you need to double shield because you want to maintain switch advantage because there's likely another fighter in the back. So we Dark Pulse and get a shield, and now we're going to go ahead and shield again. And if this is Bulldoze, which it is, beautiful, we can commit to the full farm down right now because we would rather have energy on the back end and just a little bit of health remaining, so we hopefully get to 2 Dark Pulses versus the Cofagrigus. So let's see what decides to come in. It is going to be a Machamp, and I just went for Dark Pulse here. So that's a mistake on mine. I should have gone for Thunder Punch. But that's a good call by them to soak that energy so they didn't need to shield. But because I had so much energy on Muck, I am able to get to a Thunder Punch now, which is going to force the shield anyways. So that's a beautiful situation. Clefable now easily comes in, locks this thing down, and they go ahead and surrender. All right, and that's why you want to maintain that switch advantage because there's going to be another fighter back there. All right, Shadow Granbull on the lead. This was probably the hardest team to face off against because it was a Shadow Granbull paired with a Registeel. Now, I think this is the second Registeel I have seen in all my sets so far. It's not as common. Maybe it's common where you're battling. Metas change at different elos, and I'm a bit behind this season in terms of games, but I'm still performing really, really well. My win to loss right now is I have 87 wins out of 125 games, so I still have a really nice win-loss ratio right there. But in this case, this Registeel, I decided to go double shields here because I want to try to flip this mid-game if I can. And I also want to try to catch the charge move on Umbreon if I can, because saving the Muck, I think, is going to be very crucial for me. So now I'm like, oh, I got caught right here. I got caught over farming a bit. I should have gone into Umbreon there to catch the charge move, but that's okay. Now I have to come in with Umbreon. I'm going to make mistake number 2, is I'm not going to throw the Foul Play soon enough. I throw it on, man, I'm really messing up in these battles, but that's okay, because we still have an opportunity to potentially come back. So we're going to go for the Foul Play here. You can see from my swiggles, I'm frustrated. I'm like, oh gosh dang it. So I undercharge it, but it's still enough to KO. The Granbull is going to be coming back in. I'm going to go ahead and swap into Clefable, and this is tough, because Shadow Granbull just does so much damage. I have to go for the Meteor Mash right away, and they will have, they're going to let it go. Boom. They have a Shadow Machamp in the back, which has a shield, so that means it's going to be taking me out, and they're going to go for the cross chop. So that's going to be a good game. Now, what I could have done there, I think, is catch the charge move, keep Muck alive, right? Catch the charge move on Umbreon and draw out something, whether that's the Granbull, in order, and then I could have gone a last resort against Granbull to chip it down, maybe get the final shield, and then Muck comes in, farms down, and now we got a Clefable versus a Machamp. So that's would have been the play. All right, another Cofagrigus here on the lead, so we see a swap out, and this time it's another ABA line, but in this case, they decided to come in with Shadow Hypno this time instead of the Fighter. Now, you gotta be reading teams whenever you're playing. We have now seen 2 Pokemon, so we can statistically analyze and predict what their third Pokemon is going to be. They have 2 Pokemon weak to Dark. They have to have an anti-Dark as their third, right? So it's going to be a Fighter, so like a Shadow Machamp, or it's going to be a Fairy, like a Granbull or Clefable. Either way, our Umbreon and our backline is going to handle these ABA, Ghost, Psychic, Fighter teams right here. So we take out the Hypno. Now what you need to do in these situations is that Fighter, that anti-Dark is going to come in now. You have to swap out into the Muck. So we see the Fighter come in. We come into Machamp. The Cofagrigus can't come in faster, which is why Muck is so good as the safe swap. I've said this twice. This is going to be the 3rd time I've mentioned it in this video. Do not get caught with your Umbreon staying on the field against those Fighters. Go into the Muck, draw back out that Cofagrigus, or draw out the Cofagrigus that you haven't seen already, because it's gonna be back there, and then just quickly take care of it with Thunder Punches, Poison Jabs, and Dark Pulse, and then let the Clefable sweep the endgame. So we're gonna go ahead and just go for this Thunder Punch here. We take him out. Machamp is gonna come in, hoping that it can fully carry this game, but it doesn't know I have a Clefable in the back, and even though I don't have Charm, I have Fairy Wind, and this is still chunking, and a Machamp, in order to take me out, has to land a Rock Slide, but I do have 2 shields, so I'm just going to safely double shield right here, and even if they get 2 shield baits with Cross Chop and somehow land a Rock Slide, I still have Umbreon to snarl down, so I'm going to go ahead and just double shield. They decided to try to sneak through the Rock Slide right there, but they know it's a loss. So that is going to be a good game, very well played, which is why this team handles those Hypno, Cofagrigus kind of teams with a Fighter or Fairy. It's beautiful. All right, we got another Umbreon on the lead, and we will see them swap out into Vigoroth. So I'm going to go ahead and come in with the Muck right away. So I'm very curious why they decided to swap out of the Umbreon mirror, and the only reason why that would be true is if they had a hard counter to Umbreon in the back, and they really wanted to get alignment there. So we're going to go ahead and go for Dark Pulse. We got a shield. We're going to go ahead and give up a shield ourselves on this next one. They've built up enough energy, and it is going to be Bulldoze. Beautiful. So now we're going to go ahead and load up, but I unfortunately can't farm down in time, so I'm going to throw the Thunder Punch early. If we get a shield here, so be it. We're going to get hit with a Body Slam, but then we got all the shields. If not, they survive with half an HP. You can barely even see the red line there, but they survived with 1 HP in a Dream, and then we do see a Surfetch in the back. So this was actually a team that is going to struggle against Fairy-type Pokemon, especially Granbull. But I have an opportunity here now. Surfetch has access to Leaf Blade, Brave Bird, and Night Slash. And what I'm most concerned about is gonna be the Brave Bird. So I'm gonna go ahead and just load up and swap now into Umbreon on what would be the Brave Bird energy. And it is beautiful. We catch it right there. And the reason why is our Clefable is still in the back, and we have Moonblast, but they decide to surrender. Now, they could have potentially still won that, maybe. But I could have easily gone for double Moonblast and then farmed down. So it would have been interesting either way. All right, we got a Muck Shadow Granbull safe swap. So we swap into our own Granbull, or our own Muck, sorry, and farm down the Granbull here. Now they come back in with Muck, so I'm going to go ahead and go for Dark Pulse first. Hoping that they think maybe this is a Thunder Punch. Dark Pulse is going to do a bit more damage, so we land it, and now I'm free to go for Thunder Punches right here. I should have built up a little bit more energy, but I was concerned that they were going to throw a Thunder Punch or Dark Pulse right away, but they actually just let it all go. And this, in my head now, I'm thinking, you guys are thinking with me, there's another Fairy back there. There's a Clefable back there, but I don't shield. I decide to come in with Umbreon and load up on energy. And this is where this is where things get a little dicey. Is I know they're swapping, so I swap right away, but I accidentally did a snarl there. I knew they were going to swap after that fast move. It's just you could feel it, that they wanted to get into this double fairy strategy, but unfortunately for me here, I am one fast move behind. So we'll have to see if we can still pull it out. I think the play, looking back at this right now, the play is to save one shield for Umbreon and go for double last resort because I have so much energy. So we're going to go ahead and go for another Meteor Mash here. This is going to be getting the final shield. Yeah, I should have. Okay. Looking back at this, I save a shield for Umbreon, and I easily win this right here. So this is where I decide to shield because I thought maybe we're on the same energy, or maybe I'm one ahead because I've been sneaking through. But yeah, we CMP tie right there, and I lose the CMP tie. So unfortunately for me, that is going to take me out. And now, as you guys can see, if I saved a shield for Umbreon, it's an easy dub. So we're going to go ahead and go for the last resort. This gets them extremely low. And then now we have to go for foul play because they are one fast move away from the next Meteor Mash. So we're going to go ahead and go for the foul play. And they survive with 1 HP and a dream. Yeah, they're one fast move away. So that's going to be a good battle, very well played. They're one fast move away from the Moonblast, I should say, sorry. So yeah, see ya. Boom! I got boomed right there. So I made a misplay there. I could have easily saved a shield for Umbreon and double last resorted, and it would have been over. Alright, we got Shadow Muck here on the lead and a swap into Lickitung. So we're going to bring out our own Muck in this situation. Now, unlike Vigoroth, where you have to fear the Bulldoze, this case you don't need to fear the Power Whip, which is going to be the harder hitting, the higher energy charge move from them. So you know every single move is just going to be Body Slam. But we are taking a lot of neutral damage from Lick. So we have to go deep into shields. Excuse me. Not deep into shields, but we have to shield a Body Slam in order to win this one. And this is going to come down to the IVs of the Lickitung here, because now it's going to be a race to see if we can farm down. And that was my hope, was going double Thunder Punch and then a farm down right here. And as you guys can see, they got there. I got the fast move through, but yeah. Very, very close, but unfortunately I have to go double shields here. I can't have my Clefable aligned to the Muck on their side, so I need to go for hard switch right here, and I gotta hope that whatever they have in the back, I hard lock down with Clefable. That's really going to be our only win con. Now, I went for the Thunder Punch for the shield bait because I want to try to get to a second one, and we do. So this added chip damage is going to really help us out, and thankfully Umbreon doesn't need shields here to beat a Muck. We just need to get energy. We need to start loading up on energy, and let's see what they decide to do. So they go for the Thunder Punch, and now they decide to stay in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep loading up on energy. There's the swap, and it's an Umbreon in the back, which is beautiful because now Clefable has such a good matchup in this situation, and thankfully, I went for switch advantage. It did cost us 2-0 shields, but the hard switch advantage really paid off, because now we can safely go for double Moonblast in order to win this game. They decide to let it go through, so now I'm just going to go ahead and look to commit to the farm down. I believe I did right here. As a last resort, not going to be enough to take us out. No, I don't go to the farm down. I think, yeah, I go for the Meteor Mash right away, and they decided to surrender. They knew it was over. Remember, we still had Umbreon with all of that energy. We had 1.5 foul plays and like 75% of our health. So that is going to be a good battle, very well played. And this team did incredibly well for me today. Again, that was just due to the Umbreon and Muck core that we really had right there. Those safe swap Mucks draw out the Coffagrigus every single time, or the Hypno, and you apply shield pressure. But again, I saw trouble with Registeel paired with a Shadow Granbull. That was tough to face off against, but I could potentially had a win con had I danced it around a little bit better. So there are opportunities. But overall, this team was really fun. If you guys have not invested in Clefable yet, please do for the Great League and Ultra League. Very solid Pokemon. 10,000 Stardust to unlock and no legacy moves. Fast move of Fairy Wind. And then Muck and Umbreon were solid in this meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.